Hello and welcome to OG Foundation, capital of the sovereign state of Vlodium. I'm Sovereign of Vlodium, and this week the focus is primarily this project here. So this is the start of where everything's at. I've started to get not all of the roof rafters are up, but I've started to get the battens up. I think is what the cross beam things are called, or the nailers that go across the rafters. So my goal is to just put the rest of those up. At some point, I'll have to do some cutting of that beam up there to get the last two and to get the first one or two on this side. But I want to get those on and then get some metal up on the roof today. Here's where we're starting. So it's Tuesday evening, and I was able to get 7 out of the 8 pieces of roofing metal on. I gotta do a little custom stuff for that last one, but really kind of gives shape to the room to be able to see what it's gonna be like in here. And now I gotta figure out all the other challenges of closing off the walls and adding windows and whatnot. Well, that's where it is now. I'm gonna have to cut the tin in different areas and stuff, but nice to get the material up, and this area is all protected now. So the roof up here ends up directly in line with the ferrous cement dome, so it should actually support the metal directly once I put the last sheet on. Got a little foot on that corner and trimmed that piece a little bit to limit the amount of shade. So right now you can see the sun is coming over the trees, and the light is that's like the edge of the shade line from the roof is in line with the shade line from the tree. Basically, it's kind of hard to see from the lighting, but it shouldn't get in the way of the panels is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, now I've done all the necessary prep, and you can see some of the 2x4s also on both sides are going directly onto the cement, and a little foot there, and then added a 2x4 on the front of it, and so ready for the last piece of roof, and then I can start just focusing on the walls and stuff. So it's Thursday morning. Yesterday I got the last piece of metal on over there after prepping that corner, and then got these end pieces on both sides. So that one had to be extended, and there's a little sort of cross thing to support that. And then this single 2x10 is now supported with 2 additional 2x10s, and they tie into each other. So there's a slight change in angle, and there was kind of a risk mostly of there being kind of like a break in the middle with a single board. So that won't happen with 3. And the only risk is at the bottom, to make sure that post at the bottom doesn't like go forward somehow. But with the extra angles, it makes it mostly all downward force, and that post can take the downward force. So, and then over here, today I need to reinforce this LVL on this side, because right now it's just sitting on this 2x4, which is just screwed into the other 2x4. So I need to support this probably on either side. And then I put this up, which kind of gets in the way of that window, but I think I'm going to keep it. And then I put a window up, but I'm not sure if I want to put windows there or if I want to put insulation there, because this is south and this is the north side, but it would get a little bit of morning sun, I guess. So I'll probably just keep the windows. So I'll probably put windows in the rest of the space and then start piecing in the random spaces where I need to, like over there, and then figure out what kind of windows I have and how I can best kind of fill this area with them, and what framing I need to do to support them. So that's the agenda for today. Midday Thursday, and Got this window up. It's an old patio door that someone was getting rid of because part of it had started to mold off on the end. And it doesn't get all the way over to the edge here. So there's a bit of a gap here, but it gets up under the roof. So I'm still gonna have to figure out that gap. I'll do that, but basically I'm gonna fit in as many windows as I can and then just kind of fill in the spaces. And a lot of it is just using recycled pieces of wood, so just piece them together however it works. It's more like a puzzle than more conventional kind of construction because the materials I'm working with are kind of random. What are you guys doing in here? Silly chickens. Don't be pooping in the house. It's Friday morning. And Ryla and Congo, Ryla on the left, Congo on the right, are now free birds. Free bird. They've been raised and nurtured to basically young adulthood. And they're old enough to try to survive on their own. So Praetorian, who's been out for almost 2 weeks now, I meant to include in the last video, there's another proof of life on that Monday before the last video went out. So he's survived like almost 2 weeks. And he might still be alive, but I haven't seen him. I've just seen pictures of him. But so I released these guys in this apple tree, or right at the bottom of this tree early this morning. I brought these two over here. And this is the same place I had put Praetorian, except I put him right into the tree. Like in the evening or something. And Praetorian went that direction. Almost a quarter mile, or all the way downhill. We're at like the top of a hill. He went all the way to the bottom of that hill. And there's lots of apple trees on that face. So there's plenty of food to eat, as well as bugs and all sorts of grazing. So they can really survive out here for, if they don't get eaten by predators, potentially months. Basically probably into December, maybe around the end of the year when it gets super cold. But we'll see how they do in nature, who the survivors are. And now, so it's Congo on the left, Ryla, and then Praetorian. There's 3 of them. There's lots of turkeys around too, so they might interact with the turkeys. But I'll check in with these guys every day, every other day. Bring them some food every now and then, and actually build a better bond with them now that they're separated and I come to visit them. So they get all nature, each other, and then they get a visitor, and they appreciate their visitor as opposed to in the coop with everyone and just kind of expecting food type thing. So they actually get more bonding now as they're free. We're like peers, as opposed to them being dependents. Good boys eating their apples. Make sure they know they got plenty of food around here. So today I found Gypsy Hawk dead. Of old age. I've had her for many years, probably over 5 years. She used to have a rivalry with Mimi and be a little bit aggressive, but she kind of chilled out in her older age, and because of the season and the time she spent here, I'm depositing her into the land right next to Grace, only a week apart. Gypsy Hawk is laid to rest, and the 2 chicken bodies deposited into the lower corner here, securing the land even in their death, including Lewis, who is buried right there. So it's Friday afternoon. I had put these two windows up yesterday, but after digging through some boxes and storage I had, I found this window, and there's another one that matches it. And so I'm going to end up taking these two out and replacing these two with this and another one that matches. So it'll be two symmetrical windows, and then they both open because they were previously skylights. So that'll be nice to have that feature there. And I got the sort of plywood on over this, and then the gap here is also covered up with plywood. So basically the opening between the roof and the plywood will still be open for the water to go, and I'll probably put like ice and water over this eventually, but it's a solution, best I could think of, and it should probably work. And if I don't insulate it on the inside, then it'll melt all the snow like there, and on the tin there where it's in here it should be a little warmer. So hopefully it'll all work. And then progress is slow, but I do a bunch of things in that corner and on the outside, and this gap here is a challenge, but it's also convenient to have it open to be able to get up there. So we'll see where I go to tomorrow. Hey boys, made it through the first night. Congo and Ryla. You always on a bit of food? Well, I'm having a hard time with the camera here. Here you go, boys. Boys are doing great out here on your own. Free birds. Love you, boys. We'll check in with you later. So it's Saturday afternoon. I got those two windows replaced, and these two look a lot nicer than the other two. And I installed them upside down so that it's hard to reach the little nozzle thing up there, or the twisty thing, but when they open, that opens out as opposed to the bottoms opening out, which would be good for venting air when it is necessary to open them. And they should probably be able to open a little bit further as well, because they won't hit that thing. So I got those in, and then figured out this top section, most of it anyways. So like two different angles intersecting the old structure, or the greenhouse structure, with this roof, and figuring out the best way to cut the line in between them so that everything on the inside will end up getting insulated and everything on the outside won't, and that maximizes the efficiency of the insulation as opposed to insulating the whole box ceiling and double insulating places. So that's pretty good as far as closing that off. I still, next up is figuring out these kind of triangles areas. Oh, look at that. There's this whole, it looks like a Star Trek thing, or like a delta kind of with another delta in it. And, well, it would just be too perfect, but I ended up with a piece of plywood that's like that shape, but I guess the plywood won't really fit in the space. But if somehow it magically does, I'm gonna show you. Sunday morning. Congo and Ryla are no longer here. But what I'm going to do is look around a little bit and see if I can find them. Well, I don't know. They either got eaten or they migrated, traveled somewhere. But we'll just have to wait and see if there's any signs of life in time. But if they died, rest in peace, Congo and Ryla. I found Ryla and Congo. Here's Ryla. And there's Congo. Their bodies offered up to nature and eaten and appreciated, every last scrap of them. And their souls are welcome back if they so choose. So I came down to the bottom of the hill where Praetorian had been. And I just came across this feather patch, which is it's closer to the last sighting of Praetorian than it is to where the feathers and the lost sightings of Congo and Ryla are. So it seems likely those might have been from Praetorian, but the timing, who knows. But once again, I couldn't find him, so that's probably the last time I'll look for Praetorian, unless I get another proof of life. I was able to use that piece there. I just had to cut off the ends. And I've been messing around with all this metal. This is like this metal flashing kit that came with these two windows. And since I'm doing it upside down, and this is getting installed completely differently than how the metal flashing is for, I'm just kind of like hacking it up and sort of piecing it together however I'm able to try to get some value out of this stuff rather than just trashing it or taking it to the scrapyard or whatever. It's taking a lot of time, but it's satisfying. It's satisfying to do, and I'm even reusing like the screws that came out of these things and the windows. I'm gonna reuse these nice like 90-degree clamp things elsewhere, and it's can be time consuming, but it's very satisfying to do this kind of salvage type work and just creating revaluing all this stuff. Here's how that metal flashing turned out after I hacked it all up. Did a pretty decent job of covering up that area, and it just took a long time. And then I started putting insulation in there as well. I had 2 insulation panels, so I just cut them to put them up. I'll probably foam it tomorrow. Looks like I'll need 4 more insulation panels in order to insulate the whole roof. And I should probably get a 5th for good measure for the walls in various places. There's so many different areas to work on in here that I'm just trying to get done what I can get done. And eventually it'll get closer to completion, but there's so much to do that it's slightly daunting. Oh yeah, this little cutie. It was basically dropped at my feet. Hey, don't be. I also injured myself. training it to smell blood early. So it was basically dropped by another person's cat at my feet, and so I decided I'm gonna take care of it, and I named it Javeline. That's the name of this. Pretty sure it's a mouse. I don't think it's a rat. Pretty sure it's a mouse. But I don't know if it's even old enough. I'm going to try to give it water and chicken food. So I don't know if it's old enough to survive off that or if it needs milk or what. But at the very least, I'll try to raise it till it's maybe old enough to survive out in the wild. Got a little bit damaged. So yeah, that's another new creature to take care of. It's got a little bit of chicken food there. Some sawdust, and then I just replaced the sawdust because the last sawdust had gotten a little wet. Suck in there. Kind of climb up into. Makes these little clicking sounds. And it might be from the whiskers. There's also a cricket inside in the background and a cat. I haven't seen it really drink water or eat, so. But I got it yesterday, or maybe even the day before yesterday. I don't know, yesterday. Going into its sock house. Hopefully Javelin will survive, and the kitty needs to go outside. Hey, no eating, Javelin. Javelin's getting a little bit of water and food, I think, for the first time. I just looked it up. It's probably like 2 or 3 weeks old. As long as I can get some food and water, it might live. Yeah, it's got a taste for chicken food. Hey, get that out. Monday afternoon. It's been a successful supply trip. Found all of this sheet metal, galvanized sheet metal, quite a bit of it, on the side of the road. So someone's throwing that out. Definitely pick that up. I'll do something with it. Then got insulation for the rest of the water feature room. And then got this table for like haggled. It was like $800, and they had it on sale like $400, then $200, and I paid $100 for it. I don't really need a table, but it's pretty nice, and it's not gonna rust or mold, so it should be nice for a while. So yeah, now I can keep on insulating that room. So I did get these panels mostly foamed in, at least 50% of the way foamed in. It was just one can of foam, and started to kind of foam some other areas. They didn't have more of the spray foam at Home Depot, all sold out. But luckily, I have another 10 cans, so hopefully that'll be enough to do all of the rest of the insulation here. But I'm just gonna leave it there for this week. By the way, Javelin is doing well. I think they ate a little bit of water and wet, mushy food crumbs. Hey, kitty. And so far the kitties haven't killed it. So if I can get it to eat and drink, then maybe I'll raise it for a few weeks. Or something. I don't know, there was winter coming. What are we gonna do about like young Javelin here? Have you discovered the water yet, Javelin? Yes, you're touching the water. Curious, little mouther. Can almost get out by standing up on his hind legs and getting on the sock there to the edge of the thing. You're looking pretty good there, Javelin. Moving around like you're warm and healthy. And you're going into that water thing again. Ooh, there's that water. Alright. Gotta give it some more food too. See you later, Javelin. You're very cute. There you go for the orange thing again, huh? It's Monday afternoon. And this is the last video for the week. Here's that table I got. Seems pretty nice. Brand new and all treated, so it'll last for a while. I think this will be its home. It'll be the Citadel table. It's a good start for the future, I don't know, dining area or whatever. But that's all for this week. I'm going to, I unloaded the insulation and stuff, and so next week we'll be closing up the last hole of that room and adding insulation, and just keep focusing on that room. And maybe do a little bit of firewood. But thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Bye, kitty.